What's going on, football fans? Welcome back to another edition of Breaking the Birds. Somebody posted on my Hertz comment, they should be called Breaking Down the Birds. One, touche. Too late for that. So we're going to look at the defense today, and more specifically the running defense, because that I think we all need to see what happened in this game. And following yesterday's breakdown of Hertz, which, by the way, thank you so much for all the nice comments. Really makes it all worth it, and really why I do this is the community of really interested Eagles fans. That was a side note, but thank you. Last episode was positive. I have a feeling this one is going to be bad. No, this one is going to be bad. But I had a good day. I rode mountain bike all day long. That was nice. I have a coffee. I suggest you get one too. Ate a cookie. So let's get right to it. All right. Breaking down Eagles defense against the run. All right, so the first running play we're looking at is this. Before we get too much into our emotions about it, let's be as objective as possible and try to go through it systematically. So, Lions coming out in 11 personnel. Eagles out in a 4-2 formation nickel. We took a linebacker out, put a DB in instead. And so we have wide splits here on the interior of the D line. And this leaves the linebackers susceptible, so they need to be the linebackers need to be very aware of the run and really hit it immediately in their respective gaps. Two, it really puts a lot of stress on the DBs. So the gap fit right here, we're not twisting, we're not doing anything fancy. The gap fit is like this. So you see, we need help from our safety. We also need help from our cornerback if this tight split from the wide receiver here comes in and takes out the DB. What the Lions do are wham blocking here. So really what that does is that it frees up the offensive linemen to go for the linebackers. And really, this is a very effective way if you have an athletic offensive line of getting to the second level, but it's also vulnerable if you have really good defensive linemen who can shut out the play immediately. Like if someone here doesn't get cut off by the block and actually squeeze the gaps, then it becomes a tricky running play. We're going to see here wham block, so everybody shoots over a gap. The two guards and the tight end shoot over a gap, and they all kick out block here. Javon Hargrave gets stood up. Cox gets stood up. Hargrave by the tight end. Come on, man. But other than that, linebackers get caught. That's what happens when you have these free rushers coming up. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, good job of coming up here in his run fit, because you see the split wide receiver or tight split wide receiver here. He's coming up here and he's blocking Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So that leaves the opening gap here for James Bradbury. He needs to come up here and shoot in. That's what happens when you have this light defense. When you go nickel, you need your DBs to be able to play the run. And really, also, he's in position right here, but the tackle attempt is horrible. And then it just becomes a matter of chasing from here. Good job by Darius Slay of chasing this down. So the result of this play, James Bradbury misses his tackle. None of the defensive linemen squeeze their gaps, and the linebackers just get overmanned because that's what man blocking is supposed to do. So next running play, and you see again, this is a tight formation for the offense here. Nothing really spread out too much. They're just going to run a dive out the middle right here. I think Jamal Williams, he's going to cut it outside. And let's take a look at the gap responsibilities here and what happens. So the dive is that we're gonna have two double teams on the defensive tackles. That means they need to really stand up stoutly here, so that there's no easy releases up for the linebackers. Gap responsibility is like this. Let's just play it right here and see what's going on. So here, this fit is okay. What needs to happen now? Again, you're in a light box here. Only 6 guys in the box, and then you need your DBs to come up and make the plays. Epps need to fill up here, and Darius Slay need to come out here aggressively from the outside and limit this. So right here, it's okay. He needs to bounce it outside. Epps comes up and meets the wide receiver, and so the demand is on Slay to get up there and meet him at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't, and they get 6 yards. Power for the Lions, and same formation. 4-2. This time we're gonna need to have a little bit more of stout defensive tackle play here. So when what happens when you have the puller right here? We have 2 guys actually coming across. Is that the gaps change? The linebackers need to see that these guys are pulling and then fit to that side. Now, they do that. TJ Edwards comes out here. Kaiser White comes out there as well. They fit it pretty well, but why is there that much space in the middle? Take a look at Javon Hargrave on this rep. Lined up in that A-gap. The 2-eye technique gets pushed all the way to the other side of the line of scrimmage. Ugh. All right, so power on this rep. We got the left guard pulling, and the gap responsibility looks like this. So when we have a puller, like before, the gaps change. So TJ Edwards' gap is going to change, and he actually flows well with his guy right here. Kaiser White goes up, TJ Edwards goes ass side of the puller, and this leaves actually a pretty good run fit right here. See here, TJ Edwards has the new A gap, Kaiser White has the old A gap. This means that Milton Williams has to get that B gap contained, because TJ flows with the puller. And then there needs to be a backside guy as well. Marcus Epps is the remaining spill, which is basically the defender who has to contain to the backside to make sure that if the running back jump cuts back, there needs to be a contain guy to that side on the backside as well. So this is a poor job of recognizing what happens when you have the guy pulling to the other side, because the linebacker is gone in that case. You can't just think that, all right, I have the same gap as before. Things change. Gaps change with movement. All right, so this is just a zone to the left side here. So it's pretty easy to fit. There's no moving pieces. Gap responsibility looks a little bit something like this. And we have the double teams. We have that before. And then whoever is free goes up to the linebackers. This is easy to fit, guys. Kaiser White, TJ Edwards in the A gap, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the C gap, and then you have the fill from Marcus Epps. This play sucks because two things. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is watching football right here and not realizing that all the hats are going forward. This is a running play. He needs to fill that gap in between the Sewell. And also Fletcher Cox getting his ass fucking whooped by Penei Sewell, getting beaten back 5 yards. Good job by Epps of coming here and filling the gap responsibility for Chauncey. Good physical hit so they don't allow a touchdown. But this is on Chauncey and it's on Fletcher. And this is all this is just straight up the middle. A really good push by Jordan Davis there in the middle of it all. Good fit by TJ Edwards. And it's just so frustrating they don't get that stop. Zone left for the offensive line here. The run fit is easy. Once again, we're in the same 4-2 with nickel. And yeah, the gap fits are easy here. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson needs to come up there in this gap. But then again, once again, Lions do a good job of this. They always get the receiver in to kick out the safety who has that gap. So the outermost gap puts a lot of pressure on the cornerbacks to come up here and make tackles. Because in regular situations, or most often, what happens is that the outside receiver, he just stays on the cornerback. And so really, if we take away this guy, the receiver right here, the run fit would be easy, because then it would just be the remaining gap would be the third linebacker, which in this case is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, right? So then the run fit would be like this: take away this guy, he's gone, that guy's gone. But now, because he comes in, he's the only receiver to that side. That puts a lot of pressure on Slate to come in here and fill, or spill, which I said before, to have the backside contain. Everything else here is fitted nicely. Once again, a shit job by the tackle here. I think it's Cox as well, because he can help out the backside the backside here by actually standing up this double team just a little bit. He gets pushed all the way outside. That leaves a larger area to the backside and for Slay, and so they pick up 8 yards from that. All right, now we have a new run here. Toss. Okay, so this is basically just the offensive line stretching everything out, as if they were running an outside zone or stretch play. You want to kind of get out there and have everything turn towards the inside and leave up an opening for the running back to cut into. Gap responsibility, again, it's easy on this, and really, what makes this play, finally, Jordan Davis, who's in the nose tackle position right here. We've seen just all the other clips, we saw what the double team does and how easy it is to get up to the linebacker. This is what I need to see. Here you have a chip from the center. Then you have the guard supposed to take over. He rides with the guard straight with the line of scrimmage all the way out there. Good lever here by T.J. Edwards of squeezing everything inside. Good run fit there from both T.J. and Jordan Davis coming in and making the tackle. That is finally somebody really making it hard on the offensive line of transitioning up to the linebackers. And if they do, get paid. Power again. We saw this before. Again, it's the same rules that apply. Here we have the left side of the offensive line pulling. Now notice Jordan Davis. Now we saw before with Milton Williams that he tries to go inside. When everything moves here, this is a good job from Jordan Davis of realizing that everything moves here. The linebacker go away. I have to take this gap, which is right in front of me, and not try to play hero ball, because it's a good job of him not getting in here. He needs to stay in his gap, so he's doing exactly what he has to do, because this allows the linebacker to follow the run fit rules and the gap rules for them. So see TJ, notice him. We got the pullers. All right, he noticed it. All right, he's gonna stay ass side with the backside puller here. Shed a block there from the tight end. He still is ass side to the puller, so he's respective to his gap, and he fills in there. So you have Jordan Davis covering his gap. You have T.J. Edwards in the backside or the ass side of the puller, and everything else is fitted. That's a good run. That's a good run fit, and that is the difference of what we saw before. Because if Jordan Davis pulled off a Milton Williams right here and went inside, then boom, you'd have a massive cutback lane for DeAndre Swift. All right, so dive again here, and just pre-snap, take a look at the offensive formation. We're still in 4-2 nickel. We got 5 offensive linemen. We have an extra offensive lineman to the tight end side, and we have 2 tight ends. This is 13 personnel with an offensive lineman, and we're still in 4-2 defense with only 1 guy back here and 2 safeties supposed to run fill this. Do you see an issue with this? Bingo. Okay, so we're lucky that this isn't a bigger play for the Lions. They're double teaming up on Milton Williams. Jordan Davis has his gap all the way. T.J. Edwards fills his gap. And it's just these two, T.J. Hawkinson and the extra tight end here, they're just looking for work. They double team Milton, and now he's just looking. If these guys go for Marcus Epps, there is a highway. Damn. I mean, this is tough to play. This is a tough defensive scheme being a player in, or being a defensive player in. How are you supposed to run fit against that? It is a miracle they only got 6 yards. All right, power again. And we have one receiver out here. This is the same thing we've been seeing over and over. The wide receiver to the backside is going to crack back block in on the safety. Also, look at the defensive front here. It's still it's 4-2 with a defensive end out here and a safety in the box instead? What the hell are we doing? Anyways, it's got the same thing here. The wide receiver comes in for the safety. And look at Darius Slay on this rep. Everything it's run fitted the same way we saw before. It puts pressure on the DB. And this time, good job by Darius Slay getting up, meeting Swift at the line of scrimmage. Slows him down. Leaves the other safety, Marcus Epps here. Well, the other safety, Marcus Epps here coming in, gives him time to get to the line of scrimmage and finish up the play. This is what needed to have happened on all the other plays. We saw this power where they're taking the receiver, the outermost receiver, crackback blocking into the safety, and then the DB needs to come up and make that physical of a play. All right, finally, we're in a 5-2 defense now. We have an extra defensive lineman on the field. Nobody's flexed out in some weird apex formation where they're splitting the receivers. 5-2. They're running a zone right on this play here. Jordan Davis in there in the middle. He trips over, or doesn't trip. He gets cut blocked. So he falls down there. Still creates some traffic here. So there's have the cutback lane for Jamal Williams. Can't go to the play side. When he cuts back, good fill here by James Bradbury, and also Kaiser White of staying high and realizes the cutback. Much better. And look, it's much more chaotic for the offensive line and for the running back when you have these three big guys in the middle here. See, really good job here standing up the double team by Marlon Tuipulotu. That is fucking awesome. But we saw Fletcher Cox get driven back at the goal line. Here, the same thing here. He's taking on Penei Sewell and whoever the right guard is. He's standing them out. They're at the line of scrimmage right there. There's not much movement. Jordan Davis creates a havoc there in the middle. Getting cut block with what it is. I mean, that's just a business decision for the offensive line. Do you want to cut block me? That's fine. You're just creating a mess, and the running back has to cut back, and everybody else fills. Zone left, and we're back to 4-2 nickel once again. Yay! Guess what's gonna happen? So here, it's easy to fit. Zone, easy to fit the reads. It's just a matter of standing up the double teams and actually fitting in your gaps and making sure the linebackers don't get caught too much. So, massive cutback lane for Swift. Why is that cutback lane created? Because nobody knows what's going on here on the backside of the play. Here, this is the gap responsibility. They fit it to the strong side, to the play side. On the backside here, I don't know what the hell Fletcher Cox is doing. He's going into the C gap. TJ Edwards is scraping over as if he's getting in the B gap. Then you have Phil from Avonte Maddox to that side. He's trying to crack it in here as he's been trying all game with the wide receiver. And so Fletcher Cox leaves a massive gap there. The B gap is wide open. Weird. This is just a good play from the Lions. We're still in 4-2. They're running a toss to the opposite side. They got a lead blocker out here in the receiver. And a really good job here of crackback blocking. Is not the right word for it. Backside blocking on the for the wide receiver here in Josh Sweat. So you have a receiver taking out Josh Sweat. The left guard gets on Kaiser White immediately. There is no aggressiveness on the fill for Marcus Epps and James Bradbury. It's just a shit play. That's what that is. This is my expert analysis on that. This is a shit play. Really good job by left guard. He makes that play because if Kaiser White has a clear lane out there, it's a whole different story. Right, big formation here for the Lions. 22 personnel with an offensive lineman as an extra blocker, TJ Hawkins on the other side. But the Eagles are in a 5-2 defense where Marcus Epps is playing linebacker and Nakobe Dean is playing defensive end. And they're running a fullback lead power. And when there's a fullback on the field, at least the way I was taught it, you're reading the fullback. He is the key for the linebackers in terms of, like we talked about the pullers with the guards. When the guard pulls, you stay asside to him. The same with the fullback. Fullback goes left here. Marcus Epps will hit the outside shoulder. TJ Edwards will hit the inside shoulder. Why is that? Because the fullback creates an extra gap on the line, which isn't accounted for by the offensive line. The defensive line. So here, when 89 is coming to the play side here, TJ Edwards is supposed to fill the outside shoulder. Marcus Epps the inside shoulder. And what makes it? This is exactly what happens. So I guess it's the same Eagles we're playing with. What makes this play as well and makes it a lot easier for these guys to play is they don't have offensive linemen getting in their face immediately. So the down block here from 71 on Jordan Davis, he gets nowhere. In fact, he gets driven back a yard, which makes the play for Marcus Epps. Take a look at it here from the from the top view. So Jordan Davis right there, getting hit by 71. Boom, stands him up, drives him back 1 yard, and that creates so much more space for Marcus Epps to get in there, so much more little space for running back, which makes it a lot easier to make the tackle for the guys filling in the gap. On the touchdown run, outside run here, we have a polar outside. We have a guy blocking in here on Kaiser White. He gets cut blocked. James Bradbury is not aggressive when coming out here. TJ Edwards lined up too much to the backside to be able to get over there and make that play. See, he's lined up over here, over the right guard. Of course, that's what you want to do, and that's what the Lions want him to do, because that's why they have their two tight ends over to that side. But it just creates too large of a lane to get over there. So it's not aggressive enough from Bradbury, because nobody can get over there because he doesn't stall anything. It's unfortunate for Kaiser White to get blocked like that. Johnson doesn't get the block shed. Just a bad play. Starting off the second half, and we're coming out in a 5-2. And we saw this exact same play where they have 2 tight ends, 12 personnel, and also the wide receiver in a tight split to that side, zone, easy run fits. And this is what a 5-man front does to you. You're not seeing nearly as many double teams on the offensive line. You got one double team in there, Milton Williams. He does a decent job here of not getting pushed back too much, but it also leaves Hassan Reddick on a tight end. That's favorable. He takes advantage of that and gets a tackle for loss. A rare good play for the defense here on a running play. Also, good job by Jordan Davis. He's just moving the line of scrimmage. He's taking his guy and he's moving him along the line of scrimmage, taking away those cuts upfield. Good job. Then what happens on 3rd and 7 is that we're coming out in our 4-2 nickel defense. They're in 11 personnel again with a tight split as well in the receiver. This is how much the Lions disrespected the Eagles defense, or the Eagles rush defense. It's 3rd and 7. They're down, I think, 3 touchdowns at this point, and they're coming out running the football. Jesus fucking Christ. Power. Fletcher Cox non-factor. They got the whip out on Javon Hargrave. Linebackers, for some reason, stalling. I don't know what Kaiser White is doing on this play. What happens when the guard pulls? You follow him. You stay outside. TJ Edwards was supposed to come right up here. But this is just a good job by the Lions, because they're on the linebackers immediately. And the defensive interior for the Eagles here, they don't get any pressure on it. They don't close any gaps. And also when you have these two, like we talked about so many times now, Kaiser White is going backwards. He was going lateral and backwards. What the hell? And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, go straight down. Go kill somebody. Ugh. 5-man front. Zone left. And we got Big Jordan Davis in the game here at nose tackle. He's going to eat up this double team right at the line of scrimmage. TJ Edwards has the respect for his gap. And Fletcher Cox wins his one-on-one. There's nowhere to go here. Perfect. That's the situation we want. We don't want the second, the double team to getting to the linebacker immediately. That's stalled. Jordan even has the control from there. Only gets about 2. Power for the Lions. And notice here, we actually have 3 linebackers at the second level to begin with. So when you got the puller here, like we talked about, the 2 play-side linebackers for the puller, they're going to hit this. TJ Edwards outside, Kaiser White inside on the ass side, and then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is the lever defender to that side. He's going to take everything on the bounce back. Does that exactly right. Comes in there on the backside, fills the gap beautifully. You got pulls here, linebacker scraping over. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson staying on the backside of all that. Makes a good tackle. Only got about 2. 5-2 front. Power for the Lions here. Got a lead blocker out there with the guy pulling. He's gonna take out the defensive end. We got a lead blocker out there, and they gain about 8 yards on this play. Why is that? It's a combination of 2 things. The gaps are pretty simple. It's the same thing here. TJ Edwards is following. He sees the puller right here. He stays with that, scrapes all the way over there nicely. I have no idea what Kaiser White is doing. He goes lateral to begin with. It's okay to go lateral when you expect the puller to come, as long as you're in a position where you can actually engage up on the puller as it's coming out. But this is too much. That is way, way, way too much. Also, TJ Edwards actually hits the tight end like you want him to. The problem is that the gap is so massive because Javon Hargrave is getting obliterated and removed from that gap. You see him right here. He's all the way out of there. TJ gets in here. Kaiser on the outside of the 88. TJ on the inside of 88, and if there was actually some kind of some kind of I want to say push up front, but just stall the O-line just a little bit. Wham, run for the Lions once again here. It works to perfection. All the D linemen get removed immediately. You have 2 offensive linemen on the linebackers to begin with. You need your DB to fill. You need aggressiveness when you're playing against this kind of offense. And it's easy to see. This is a snap read. Boom. You see 3 guys pulling, you go straight you go straight ahead. The same for Chauncey. See, that's his gap. Fill that gap immediately. 8 yards. Easy. Fullback lead. Stone left. Goal line. Mano a mano. Jordan Davis, really good job here of staying with the center. Of pushing him back a yard. And then just holding the running back a little bit back there. They let Milton Williams go because they prefer to get up to the linebacker with Penei Sewell. So this is really just a matter of the free guy that can be linebackers. In this case, it's not because they're letting they want to get up there to linebackers immediately. So they're probably not the ones that are going to make the play. This is Milton Williams with the free guy, and he's simply just not able to make the tackle. Power for the Lions. And I just don't. This is a 5-1 front. What? So naturally, this is bound to go wrong. With the puller who's going to come out here, he's going to create 2 gaps for one linebacker to fill. So of course that's going to. I mean, who is responsible for the remaining gap here? Sweat C, Hargrave B, Jordan. Is he 2-gapping? Fletcher C, Fletcher B, TJ C. And then when the puller comes out there, who's supposed to fill? Is it Chauncey? Epps? None of these guys look like they have any interest in going for the run anyway. Weird. So it's the same thing here. Only difference is that Milton makes a play. And it's a really good play by Milton Williams. But once again here, it's a 5-man front. Chauncey comes up here. The only reason Chauncey is there is because the wide receiver comes in and flexes in as kind of like a wing. Otherwise, it's a 5-1 once again. And they're still outnumbered in this exact same way. Still got the power coming out here. TJ Edwards gets caught the exact same way he does. He can't fill 2 gaps from a puller. The only reason this works is because Milton Williams beats Jonah Jackson. There are not enough defenders for the gaps here. This is schemed horribly. See here, you got the double team on Milton to begin with, and then the tackle goes up for TJ. If Jonah keeps his block on Milton, it's the exact same look with a fucking highway right up there in the A gap. Finally, we needed a good run stop. We needed a good run stop here. This is going to zone 4-2. Good job here by Marlon and Hassan Reddick. They're filling their gaps really nicely here to that play side. And it's a short game. This right here is how I need my safeties to play if I'm running a 4-2 defense. Because then it can work. Dive up the middle. Look at Marcus Epps right here. He is shooting straight forward here and cutting down his gap responsibility. It still becomes like a 3-4 yard game, but it's much better than what you'll see in the rest of this video. So here, these are the gap responsibilities. Nothing too fancy on the dive right here. Kaiser and TJ are playing B and A gap. And then this is the remaining gap you need filled by a safety. Epps does exactly that. And it gets shut down. All right. Deep breaths. I'm sorry about all the F words. Kind of get worked up here looking at this because it's such a horrible defensive scheme. If you want to run a 4-2 in nickel, you need to make sure your safeties are well coached to read run because they need to fill that extra gap that is always going to be there. If they can't do that, you can't run 4-2. And Eagles got smoked in this game in 4-2 defense where there's simply nobody to fill up as the extra linebacker that you're missing on the field. Also, you need to coach up your cornerbacks to play physical, because if the receiver's going inside, they need to get in there and make the play. 5-2 worked well. Jordan Davis played a really good game. He solidified the interior so there weren't any free rushes, and he held his own in there. So the running back had to bounce outside, and he made a couple plays in there as well. Javon Hargrave, big fan of him. Like Javon Hargrave's game. Big fan of what he did last year. He sucked in this game. Fletcher Cox, he sucked in this game. And really, I think they look bad. The players look bad because it's a bad scheme. Run 5-2, run 4-3. If you insist on running 4-2, at least coach up your safeties to know how to fit in the run game. I think those are my takeaways from this. It's easily fixable, in my honest opinion. The run game on defense is easily fixable if you just get your head out of your ass as a defensive coordinator and you actually run fronts that make sense in terms of actually having enough guys to fit the run. That'll be a lot more easy then. That was it for this video, was what I'm trying to say. The next video will be much more positive. We're going to look at A.J. Brown. We're also going to be looking at Devontae Smith to see what happened in this game. A lot more content coming. So stay tuned, guys.